Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today's full face of Bare Minerals makeup is just a special video because Bare Minerals was actually a brand that my mom introduced me to about 20 years ago. Way back when Bare Minerals was just doing infomercials. Leslie, the founder, would advertise the starter kit, and that is how I started with Bare Minerals. So it's super special to have Bare Minerals sponsoring this video, and they sent me a huge variety of a lot of their newer products that I actually had never tried before. So I'm going to be sharing those with you today, but I also have several of my own Bare Minerals products that I will be mixing in as well. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Now let's go ahead and get started because we're starting even with skincare. So I started off right after the shower. I put a tiny little bit of this moisturizer on, but we're gonna add a little more. This is the Bare Minerals Skin Rescue. It is 1% PGA plant algae, and it's the Pure Moisturizer Serum. This is so nice. What a great texture. It's a thicker, milky-like texture. I was expecting kind of more of an oily, when I think of serum, I think oily. And this is so nice. Hold on, let me clip my hair back before we go any further so we can keep that hair out of the way. So I'm going to be combining a lot of different products in this video, and depending on your skin type, I will tell you use more of this or less of this, etc. So if you are a dry skin gal, you are gonna love this. You can use this morning, night. You can see how quickly that sunk in. It's not oily, but my skin just feels hydrated and plumped. Now you'll notice I kept that kind of to the perimeter of my face because I'm going to be going in with the Complexion Rescue, the original one, as my kind of moisturizer, a little bit of extra sunscreen step today. So Complexion Rescue actually was my mom's top favorite kind of liquid foundation for the last, I don't know, whenever it came out. So at least 6-7 years she was using this, and I'll link a video down below when I did my mom's makeup and I used this on her. It was her favorite. So I'm going to use this today, but I'm also going to use another foundation. Now, because we're entering kind of holiday season, Bare Minerals has put together several kits of various items, and they're customizable. So I really appreciate that. So this first kit that I'm using a couple of products from includes this moisturizer, and then you get to choose your shade of Complexion Rescue Tinted Moisturizer. And then you also can choose your shade of, this is a pretty new product, the Complexion Rescue Blonzer, but this is the liquid form. So I chose Kiss of Rose, so you'll see this appear a little bit later on. But that one kit, all three of those combined, I think it's very well suited for those of you who have dry skin. But I'm gonna show you how I kind of mix and match all of these products to work with I have more kind of combination oily skin. So that's why I went in sparingly with this, but I did use this at night before my other moisturizer, and wow, my skin just felt so good. Complexion Rescue, I'm going in with Bamboo 5.5, and I have used and loved this as well for a couple of years. It had been a while since I had purchased the original. They now have a matte version as well. So I'm going to dot this on. Where is my brush here? I'm going to use kind of a flat paddle brush to put this on. And Complexion Rescue, oh my goodness, if you've never used it, it has like water capsules that almost burst on your skin as you're applying. So you get this really just cooling sensation, hydrating, yet it's not oily. And so this is a very lightweight product, but I feel like this is one of those tinted moisturizers that does actually provide good coverage and evens out the skin. As I mentioned, my mom, she had more normal to dry skin, and up until a couple years ago lived in a very dry climate, and this was her favorite. She loved that it didn't look cakey or makeup-y, and it lasted on her all day. She didn't even, I don't even know that she even powdered it. So I'm going to powder, of course, but I'm going to powder in a different way today. So if you're dry skin and you want a really good tinted moisturizer, this has SPF 30, and I believe this is a mineral sunscreen. It's titanium dioxide. So that is why my skin gets along well. And Bare Minerals has really, over the years, Leslie no longer owns it, but as Bare Minerals has expanded and changed formulations, they are now, their slogan is clean beauty without compromising performance. So they've taken talc out of some of their powder products and just have cleaned up the ingredient deck on everything. So I'm really familiar with the old school Bare Minerals, the old loose powder foundation, original mineral veil. I used to own basically every shade they ever made of their single eyeshadows. Now, one of the main reasons why I started using Bare Minerals when my mom introduced me is because I had really troubled skin, acne prone, oily, sensitive, and Bare Minerals was the only foundation and then eventually skincare that wouldn't break me out, that actually made my skin look better. So that was how I built my love for Bare Minerals, and I truly, for several years, was using exclusively Bare Minerals products, from cleanser, face cleanser, eye cream, to mascara, everything. So I have a long history with them, but these new products, it's kind of fun to dig into some fun new things. All right, eyeshadow primer. I'm actually going to go in with this one from Laura Mercier. This is new to me as well. I'm just gonna put this on. This comes in several shades, kind of cancels out the veins and the discoloration. It's not as opaque as if you go in with concealer, but it's close. And I have the shade Linen, but I've actually found this to be quite long wearing, and I have super oily lids. This probably gets my eyeshadow through most of the day. I would say a good 10 hours without creasing, and then I may have a little bit, a smidge of creasing, but it's not much. And I love that slight little bit of perfecting work that does. Now for the eyes today, I'm gonna keep it relatively simple. I know for some of you, you're like, let's see, but I promise you we are, because we're gonna work mainly with just this one eyeshadow, but I do have a couple of eyeshadow sticks that I'm going to bring in from Laura Mercier as well. So before we get to eyeshadow, I'm just gonna take a flat brush and I'm gonna go in with the BarePRO Matte Foundation. I'm gonna actually be using a little bit of this on my face as well, but this works well kind of under the brow bone, just to set that primer and kind of mattify and perfect. So because this has coverage, this is a great way to just quickly kind of perfect that area right under the brow and give us something to blend our bronzer in through the crease. So through the crease of the eye, I'm actually going to use, I have two shades of the Buxom Staycation Vibes bronzer. Now, if you didn't know, Buxom used to be a part of Bare Minerals line. Like, you used to buy it all together, but then they separated Buxom out, but it's still under the umbrella company. But these are the two shades. So this one I'm going to use on my face. This is Rooftop Tan, and then this is, what is this, Backyard Bronze, and this one's a little more matte, but I'm going to use this just on a fluffy brush through my crease. And you'll know I don't do this very often, but all of my loose Bare Minerals eyeshadows that I have that are matte, I don't think they make anymore. So I didn't want to pull something out that you actually can no longer buy. But I tell you, I still have quite a few of those loose shadows. They were just my favorite and so easy to use. That was kind of my introduction to lots of fun different colors. All right, so just putting that all through the crease. Now on the lid, let's go in with our eyeshadow sticks. And I have this new one, Laura Mercier reformulated some, I don't know if they reformulated their matte ones as well, but some of their, these are the Caviar eyeshadow sticks. This is the shade Rose Gold. So I'm gonna put this on my lid. One of my favorite shades of hers is Copper. That one is so pretty. But I wanted to allow the Bare Minerals eyeshadow that I'm gonna put on top to maybe stand out a little more. So I'm just gonna put this down as a base. Now you don't have to use a cream eyeshadow base with the Bare Minerals loose eyeshadows, but I just find that they come off a little more pigmented if you do. But definitely recommend using an eyeshadow primer with all eyeshadows, but especially the loose ones. Okay, we're gonna start there. And now I'm gonna bring in, this brings back so many memories. This is Nude Beach. I went through at least 2 whole ones of these, maybe even 3. I didn't even have it in my collection anymore. So when I saw this other collection that Bare Minerals has put out, which includes your choice of color of the Bare Minerals eyeshadow, your choice of color of their eyeliner, and their Maximist mascara, which is new, I knew that this was the shade that I wanted to choose because I do have Queen Phyllis, which is also beautiful, but I still have that in my collection. I thought, I've missed Nude Beach. So really the best way to do this is to tap a little bit into the lid, and then I'm just gonna apply this with my finger. You can apply it with a brush, but I just think these are easier to apply and control, and look at that. Now they have other shadows that don't have as much sparkle, but you know me, gotta have my sparkle and shine, right? And this was one of my favorites. I used to use this all the time with purples and pink shadows through the crease and on the outer corner. Now, before we get to eyeliner, let's go in now with a darker eyeshadow stick. And this one from Laura Mercier is Dark Cacao. And I love this because it has a little bit of a reddish tone to it. Looks really good if you have, especially if you have green or blue eyes. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this in the outer corner and up. And this is going to be kind of our outer corner darkening shade. And I'm going to bring in, let's bring in kind of a smaller smudge brush. And you do have a little bit of working time with these, but again, once they set, you are not going to budge them. So see how easily that blended out, just gave us a little bit of depth there at the outer corner. And then sometimes to go above the crease, I like to go directly from the eyeshadow stick on the brush so I can control a little more how much is being deposited there and where it's going. And we're gonna clean up the outer corner of the eye, so don't worry if it's looking a little messy, we'll get there. And then I'm just gonna go back with a little more of that bronzer on a smaller brush and just blend that eyeshadow stick into those shades. Now on the lower lash line, I'm gonna go in with the Bare Minerals Mineralist eyeliner, and this is the shade Topaz. I already owned 3 other colors of this, so I already knew I loved this. This is a great, soft, smooth formula. And again, another one that really sets and stays all day. And this one, even though it says Topaz, and I think of Topaz as being kind of shimmery, this is not shimmery. So this is actually a matte, really super dark brown liner, and I really love this. I'll bring in maybe one of the other shades on my lower lash line. I'm just gonna quickly kind of lay this down, and you can just see how smooth this is. And I've had my other liners for quite a long time. I mean, over a year, and they are not at all dried out or anything. So just a little FYI. These are creamy and they stay creamy, so that is good. On the lower lash line, I think I've decided I was going between the copper and this reddish shade, which is Garnet. I think I'm gonna do Garnet. Let me show you. And I'll show you these because you can choose your color of eyeliner in this kit. Here's copper. And then there's the other one I have, which is kind of a dark shimmery gray, and that shade is Graphite. So you get to select your color, your shade of eyeliner. I think I'm gonna go in, I think I wanna bring in a little bit of Garnet. You can see on my top here, I have this kind of, it's a rosy color. It's not quite red, kind of a little softer, and I'm gonna use that Kiss of Rose Blonzer on the cheeks. So I think this will really look nice with that. So You can see how creamy that is, how easily it glides. All right, I cleaned up under the eyes, which basically there was not much under there because we used cream shadows for the most part. But now let's go in. I'm gonna add a little bit of concealer now because we are gonna use a powder foundation. This is a brand new concealer from Bare Minerals. I don't know how long it's been out, but it's the BarePRO 16-hour Wear All Over Skin Perfecting Matte Concealer. And what's really special about this, I don't have any other ones in my collection, it has SPF 25. So I really appreciate, and it is a mineral sunscreen. So I appreciate that they added that. This thing is huge. Love the packaging. Look at this doe foot. Oh my goodness. So I have been experimenting with this for a couple of days. Let's see, 2 days to be exact. And I do find that this wears so well on me under the eyes, even on the face. I'm gonna go ahead and just tap in a couple of spots, but I don't want to do too much concealing on the face because I want to test out the coverage of the foundation we're using. Okay, I'm going to blend this in, and this is probably even too much. I'm still working on how much to apply. This has a lot of spreadability, and yet it maintains coverage. I mean, look at that. And what shade do I have? I have the shade Light 200 Neutral. And I do recall this comes in a lot of different shades. This came separately. This is not a part of the kit. However, I do believe it is one thing that you could choose to customize your kit. And I'll talk more about that kit, but it's an essentials kit. You get to choose 4 of the products in there. So it's really nice. They kind of give you categories to choose from. So but this concealer, wow, it is just no joke. And I'm glad I went with 200. It's slightly brightening, but I think this will be perfect for me going into fall and winter. I didn't want to go too light, and I chose neutral, even though I am normally warm in most Bare Minerals foundations, because under the eyes, I just have found that I like a little more neutral tone, and I still feel like that's got quite a bit of yellow still. So it's not as peachy toned as some. So just FYI if you're choosing your shades. All right, before we go in with powder, I want to use a little bit of this. Now I say a little bit because this is super hydrating formula. So this is the liquid form of the much beloved, in my collection at least, Blonzer. And this is Kiss of Rose. Later, I'm gonna top it with the powder Kiss of Rose. So here again, if you are a dry skin gal, you're gonna love this, but I would definitely say choose a shade that's a little darker than maybe you think, because this is a pretty sheer formula. So even though this looks a little bit deep and dark, and I would apply this from the back of your hand too. Don't go directly on your cheeks. But this is a very, very hydrating formula. And I'm just gonna blend that in. So I'm gonna go in real light because it's not full on sticky tacky, but it doesn't dry down to a matte powder. So if you're putting this on and you have dry skin, you'll probably absolutely love how your cheeks feel and the glow that's left behind. I mean, you can see I just put on the tiniest amount, but what's interesting is after I blended this in the back of my hand, when you go over that skin, it feels soft. It's really amazing. So they did add some good hydration in there. But again, I am oily combo, so I'm just gonna apply a little bit and I am gonna powder like crazy. But if you're dry skin, you're gonna love this. And this comes with the Complexion Rescue and the serum. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my Complexion Rescue brush, and I'm going to kind of smooth out a little bit there. And while I let this sink in just a little bit, I'll tell you about this customizable kit that you can get. First of all, look at how cute and large this makeup bag is. So you get the makeup bag, and then you get 8 products in there, 4 of which are samples. So you get a sample of their Maximist mascara, which I'm going to use the full size of later. And then you get their original Prime Time, which I debated trying to add this on, but I don't want to get too many layers. But this was an essential to me, and I think it is essential, especially if you're using the loose powder foundation. Really nice, smooth texture. And then I've never tried, this is the Smoothness Bare Haven Soft Moisturizer. I used a little bit of that on the back of my hand and it feels really nice. So I'm excited to try that. And then they also have an Ageless, a plant-based retinol cream that you can use at night times. And then you get to customize that kit with your 4 choices. When it came to choosing the foundation I wanted for this, I decided to go with the BarePRO 16 Hour Wear Powder Foundation. I had tried this before. I have it in a darker shade, and just a little tip, go a little lighter than you think you're going to need to, because I've always felt like the other shades that I had were just too dark. But I don't know that I've tried it. They removed talc. So when this first came out, it had talc in it. Now it's talc free. So I know it is a very soft formula. It's supposed to be full coverage. You can build it up depending on how you apply it. So this was my foundation of choice. And then I chose this blush brush. It's called the Blooming Blush Brush. Wow, that's really hard to say. Love this. I've been looking for a new angled blush brush for powder. And then I chose a lip product. We'll get to that. And then I may have put the concealer in as my final product of choice. So let's go in now with the foundation. So this is Light 20 Warm, and I'm still finding my way with this foundation. Today I'm gonna try applying it with this powder puff. Now, as I apply this foundation, I would say this foundation in particular is great for those of you with combination oily skin. If you're drier skin, I would just go with the Complexion Rescue if you want lighter coverage, and then just add a little bit of the original Mineral Veil over the top, or you might even be able to skip powder like my mom used to. But I'm gonna add a little bit of this over the top, and we're gonna build up some coverage. All right, so there you go. You've got 2 options. You've got the glowy, kind of lighter coverage look, and then you've got the matte, nearly full coverage look. So depending on what is your preference, you've got both options. And you can see I tried not to put too much over my cheeks, but I did cover up most of that bronzer with this product. So that's where I think if you're gonna use powder foundation, I would recommend going in with the powder bronzer. But if you're using a liquid foundation, you want something more light, glowy, go in with the cream or the liquid bronzer. All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna powder the other side. Okay, I'm feeling very almost all one-dimensional, because you can tell the coverage of this is pretty serious coverage, especially applied with a powder puff. This is the first time I've used that to apply it. Previously, I've used kind of a big brush, still quite dense, but a big brush is going to give you slightly less coverage, or you could apply it very lightly with a fluffy brush. So I actually like that coverage level for me personally. And you know, we're going a little more glam here. So I'm going to continue on now and add a little bit of bronzer and contour. And I'm going to go back to the shade we used in our crease. So this shade again is Backyard Bronze from Buxom. And I have really enjoyed this product. I think it's beautiful and blends really nicely. This one is more of, it's more of a satin matte finish, I would say. But I've never tried the other one, which I am excited to try today with you all. Now, Bare Minerals does still have their Warmth, which is a loose powder bronzer, and that has been around, I think, from the first kit that Leslie ever put together. I went through several of those as well, and then Faux Tan became kind of my favorite for more contour, but they do still have Warmth. I just didn't get that again. I haven't owned that for a while. Oh, love that. Okay, now let's go in with this other shade, which is Rooftop Tan. I'm excited to try this out. Now this one, let's just look how pretty. Oh, love new products. So this is really, really light, and it's just gonna add, I think, a little hint of a glow. Oh, that's nice. So I know we went in with a matte powder foundation, but it doesn't mean that you have to leave the rest of your face matte. And in fact, I feel like by going around kind of the edge, the tops of the cheeks, by adding a little bit of glow into the rest of the face, it gives you more of a healthy glow and a healthy look. Got to add a little bit of just contour on the nose here real quick. Now, this next step, the Blonzer step. So to my knowledge, I think Bare Minerals was the first one to come up with that term. Now we're seeing it with a bunch of different brands, but to my knowledge, they were the first one to coin that phrase Blonzer. It's blush and bronzer, and their shades. Now I own, well, almost all of the shades. I own Kiss of Spice. This was the newest one to me. I purchased this summer. I have Kiss of Copper. I have Kiss of Pink, which was my first one. And this one I thought would be too light. This is actually really beautiful. But today I'm going to use Kiss of Rose, which is the powder version of the liquid one that we used already. And light hand, gonna try this brush for the first time. Super, super soft brush. I'm gonna actually tap off a little bit. So I know this is a beautiful formula, but it is quite pigmented. So all of these have a little bit of glow. I don't feel like I can detect any shimmer particles on the face, but it does have a glow. So the idea with this is that you're supposed to put it on areas, like it can give you a sunburnt kind of look if you want it. I don't really feel like that's necessary at this time of year, but you can bring this across the bridge of the nose. And again, kind of gives your face just a very healthy look. Okay, so wow, that was a lot. So let's just blend out a little bit of that. My brush here. Okay, I'm gonna just tap out a few of the creases, a little bit of some creasing, but that concealer really dries down pretty matte. Like, it's probably the least glowy concealer that I own. I am going to set it with a little bit of the original Mineral Veil. They do still sell this. I do still love it. I've forgotten that it actually is a really nice light finishing powder. But I'm just going to use this under the eyes. I'm going to tap off a little bit. I don't want to get too much. And one side note is Mineral Veil also comes with an SPF 25 version. And this is my tip if you need to reapply sunscreen because you're going to be out and about all day and you have makeup on. That's the way you can do it. And trust me, it totally works. I used it for a whole day at the lake. I had no other face sunscreen on. I just used that and I kept buffing it on all day. I was the only one that didn't get burnt. It's a really good one. So next up we have brows. Up until now, I'm laughing because I just pulled out of my drawer. I still have the powder version of the brow powder. I don't even know that they make this anymore, but it was the loose brow powder. This was my go-to for years and years and years. So I've actually had never tried their pencil. So this is the Mineralist Micro Defining Brow Pencil. I chose the shade Light Brunette. This does have a spoolie on one hand, but what's unique about this is it has a micro teardrop. So we've seen other brow pencils that have a micro tip or a teardrop tip, but this combines the two. So I've actually been enjoying this tip, and this formula is supposed to be waterproof and smudge proof. It is a waxier formula, so that I think goes hand in hand with waterproof formulas, but this one I feel like I can actually layer up and build up just fine on the brows. Okay, brows are finally done. They always take me forever. Now let's add some brow gel, and I was really excited to get the chance to try this. This is the Strength and Length Serum Infused Brow Gel. So you know I do use a brow growth serum at night, but I love the idea of using something during the day also, just to help continue to promote growth, because the brows get thinner and thinner as we age. And this brush, now I chose clear. It does come in a couple of shades, but sometimes I get a little out of control with tinted brow gels, but it does come in shades. Look at this brush. It is so unique. It's tiny and there's only bristles over the top, and then the bottom is kind of curved under. I'm guessing you can kind of like maybe laminate this way, but I'm just gonna go in lightly because this is still, I'm still experimenting with this. But I do feel like even though the bristles are short and kind of tiny, they still do deposit quite a bit of that gel, and they do allow you to really comb those brow hairs into place. And this has held my brows in place all day, so it does have really good hold power. Now, just because I want a little extra glow on the cheeks, why not? I'll pull in the blush. What is this? Highlighting blush. It's Blush Illuminator. I really feel like these are just highlighters. This is Opal Glow, and I'm going to use just a tiny little brush. Let's put a little of this on the top of the cheek. Now, this one has a little hint of some pink, and it is really, really pretty, but whoa, go in with a light hand. And then let's add a little, let's use a little bit of this. I haven't done this yet, but let's use a little bit of this on the inner corner. Yeah, might be a little too pink for inner corner. Let's go back with a little bit of Nude Beach and just add a smidge there on the inner corner. There, oh, woo, a smidge. You can see how pigmented this shadow is. Let's just blend that out. Now we just need lashes and lips. All right, we're using the Maximist mascara, and this came in that set with the eyeshadow and the liner. This is relatively new, I think, to their line. It is a Phyto Fiber volumizing mascara. So there are little fibers in this, and the wand is massive. Oh my word. Do you see how big this is? Oh my goodness. And the bristles are kind of just all over the place. They're not just kind of your traditional one row of bristles, you know, then the next. So you would think that this would be a really clumpy mascara, but let me show you actually how light this really is. And I've only used this, this will be my third time using this. So I think this might be a mascara that needs to sit in the drawer for a little bit. It's not a super wet formula by any means. As you can see there, I'm not getting it all over the place, and I don't even, I mean, it's really hard to see little fibers, you know, sticking out, but I mean, there's one coat, and I don't really feel like this is like super volumizing on the first coat. It definitely provides definition and adds a little bit to the length, but then you can build it up nicely. And what is great about this mascara compared to others, especially other fibrous mascaras, is you don't have the drop down, and I have no smudging with this. So I can use this on my lower lashes. And you know, if you've watched my channel for a long time, that's hard for me to find a mascara that doesn't smudge on the lower lashes. So I do feel like there are good benefits to this formula, and I know that not everybody loves a clumpy mascara like I do. So a lot of you are probably like, yes, we love that look of the lashes, leave it there. But you know me, I gotta build it up a little bit. So I'll just keep building, and then we'll come back and do some lips. All right, I'm back. So now let's finish up with some lips. I'm going to start with the Mineralist Lasting Lip Pencil in the shade Cherished Rose. Oh my goodness, this is a gorgeous shade. And I feel like they changed the formula from the previous version, which would have been a number of years ago. So let me apply this. Super smooth glide on that pencil. And I have used this for a couple of days, and I feel like it does keep your lip color in the lines from bleeding past the lines, which is important when you're using something like this next product, which is their Dewy Lip Gloss Balm. This is relatively new to their line as well. This is the shade Devotion. So I chose a little bit of a brighter color because it was a balm. So I knew it would be slightly sheer. So there you go. Just one swipe and you have just a little bit of color, but this one can be built up and become quite bright. So thus the reason why I chose this top, because this was the lip color. So we're kind of tying all of these kind of rosy tones in today. Let me apply this. Very smooth formula. And I feel like there's just a hint of a scent, maybe slightly fruity, but it's so subtle. You can hardly detect it at all. But that formula, you can see a little bit of shine, not super glossy by any means, but a little above a satin finish. Good amount of color, feels very nice and hydrating on the lips. Okay, now here is our finished look. And overall, I love the combination of all the colors. I loved being able to use some of my old favorites that I hadn't used in a long time, the Complexion Rescue Tint, but also I'm loving getting to try some of the newer products. Now, I feel like with this powder foundation, as with all powder foundations on my skin, I feel like they start getting a little better as kind of my natural skin oils mix with them. Now, I don't feel like I got as smooth and as matte of a finish today because I used this first. So I'm excited to keep using the BarePRO powder all on its own and paired with the original Primetime primer. I'm excited to try those two together and just see what a difference that makes. But overall, the coverage, you can't argue with the coverage of that. Still, some of my favorite products from Bare Minerals are the Blonzers, the powder Blonzers. Love the lip combination. And come on, Nude Beach Glimmer Eyeshadow is just amazing. Love the eyeliner, and I do love the overall look. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you have been seeing lots of new Bare Minerals products and you've been wondering, been curious about them as I have been, hopefully this gave you kind of a little taste. Now, I do appreciate when Bare Minerals does these kits and puts those together because, as I said, even from way back when, that was pretty much how I used to shop Bare Minerals, and I felt like it was always the best value for your money. So check out their website and these kits and all the products. I will have links in the description box down below for you. And I will also include all of the shades for the concealer, the foundation, all of that. So thank you once again for watching. Again, a huge thank you to Bare Minerals. This just really brings full circle. I mean, 20 years ago, when my mom introduced me to Bare Minerals, I would have never imagined, not only would I be doing YouTube videos, which didn't exist back then, but that they would be sponsoring a video. So again, a huge thanks and great appreciation to Bare Minerals, and I'll see you next time. Bye.